Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna figure out a very cool intro and it's gonna be great. Just not right now. The last place I had left off in the video, well, the beginning of the last video, I said I was going to college, but guess what? I am now there. I actually finished my first week of classes very recently, depending on when this video goes out, and I can definitely say it's definitely different, but that's not what I'm here to focus on in this video. Maybe if you guys are interested, I would do more of a informal idea where I just ramble on about what's going on and my opinions, but in this video I'm actually focusing on some of my OCs. I've been really inspired by trying to revamp my old OCs after Art Fight. Art Fight kind of exposed the fact that none of my characters really have backstories or any rhyme or reason why they're there. I just draw them that way because I think it's cool. And while there's nothing wrong with that, I do want to kind of flush them out a bit. I feel like that's a great exercise. So that's what I plan on to do in this video. If that sounds interesting, stick around. When I first created Myra, she wasn't really a developed OC, at all. I just liked her simple design. And you might have noticed, I haven't changed much from the original sketch, which I would show, but I left my sketchbook at home. Myra represents someone who feels stuck in life. In high school, she was on the swim team and was considered really naturally talented at it, but outside of that, she didn't have much of a social life. She's from a small town in Oregon, which I still have to figure out whether I want to go fictional or real. And the whole point is that she never really ventured outside of her bubble. While she's had friends, she realized that graduation, how isolated she had been, and couldn't really embrace the idea of new beginnings. I kind of relate to Myra because, like her, I recently moved away for college and I'm 10 hours away from home, and right now I'm kind of unsure what I want to do with myself. I have a major and everything, but as far as socially, I've just been hanging out in my dorm. But Myra, however, decided to take a gap year after high school, and around that time, she received a letter from her grandmother's estate. Now, Myra hasn't seen her grandmother since she was 11 at her dad's funeral. I know, I can't help myself with my OCs, a parent has to be dead. And it's not even it's personal. I just don't know how to write different family dynamics, I swear. But anyways, Myra hasn't seen her since her dad's funeral, so her grandmother would send her a birthday cake every single birthday and large sums of money, but for some reason Myra's mom, who is a truck driver and rarely home, but she's not traumatizing or anything. They have a good relationship. She's just always out, she would just never use the money the grandmother would send. And I wouldn't say she holds a resentment for the grandmother, but she don't really fool with her. The letter is actually from her grandmother's estate, and it's an invitation for her funeral, which takes place in New York, and it also includes an extra address on it. So, long story short, she leaves a note for her mom being hey, I'm gonna go to New York, and I know what you're thinking, isn't her mom gonna flip out or anything? Again, her mom doesn't resent the grandmother, but she's wary of her, and she wouldn't really take Myra to come visit because, one, she's busy with work, and two, she don't really fool with her. But she does respect Myra's decision to go there and trust her that she'll do the right thing. So nothing of tension. I didn't really want her I have a lot of OCs that kind of have that kind of problem, but I didn't want the same for her. Once she gets to New York, like when she's at the funeral, she notices there's something like off. Many of the people at the funeral don't seem to be like related to her dad or like any of their family like at all. And at first she tries to write it off like, I haven't seen this lady since I was 11. I don't really know what her life is like. But she also notices that there's like many people in attendance who seem to be very wealthy business people, like many holding their own security. Some are definitely foreign, and she's like, what kind of funeral is this? But she feels completely out of place until a person approaches her, which is another OC, Claude. Now, unlike Myra and later on in the video, my character Aaliyah, Claude is in a desperate need of a redesign. But he is the one that introduces himself as the person who will take her to the address her grandmother left. She's rightfully wary at this point, like, WTF, but he seems like trustful enough. And also Claude, I can say this now, he's a sweetie. He's just, you know, and besides like that weird ponytail he has going on. So he takes her to the place, and it's a flower shop. And at this point, Myra is like completely lost when she asks Claude, like, why would she leave me a flower shop? Cause like, she's like, huh? He shrugs and tells her, I don't know, but the place is yours. One thing I haven't mentioned about Myra is that before her dad passed, they would actually work together in their like family garden and make bouquets for her mom and like people around town. He wasn't necessarily a florist, he was actually a nurse, but on his days off, he would spend that time with Myra. And her grandmother wouldn't necessarily know this about her and Myra, but I guess like since it's his mom, she would know that about her dad. And she's kind of hit by this wave of nostalgia. Like, I wouldn't say her dad's death, like he died naturally, like nothing weird happened about his death, so she's like, she came to terms with that. And she ends up taking the offer, and then she plans to send a letter home to her mom like, hey, you know, I'm thinking about running this flower shop here, I feel like it'd be good for me. And I feel like I haven't mentioned, she's around like 20 at this point. I want to say like she just recently turned 20, and I feel like some people are like, that's so early. Like, she's not having a midlife crisis. It's just that she didn't want to go to college. She didn't really see something in that for her. So she's like, you know what? I'm just going to take this off. But there's something that's a myth, and she may have bit off more than she can chew. I don't want to spoil the rest of the story just yet because I haven't finished fleshing it out completely, but I do want to give a tidbit that it's a teensy bit chaotic, and that's okay. I've completely come to terms with the fact that I am just like off the wall when it comes to my OC stories, and I will say that I am taking some inspo from the Kingsman series. Anyways, here is Myra. Again, she hasn't changed much other than the fact I decided to give her Crocs because I feel like I wanted to add fun character building for her. They are, of course, in sports mode, and I had fun putting little charms on there. Aaliyah is a lot similar to Myra in the way they both weren't necessarily OCs before this, and just characters I would draw on occasion because I thought their designs were just fun. But Aaliyah is from New York, and she is 21. She recently turned 21, and the way she kind of gets involved in Myra's story is basically she's looking for a job. She's from upstate New York. She moved to the city to become a singer, but it didn't really pan out the way she wanted to. And a little tiny thing is that Myra actually spots her on the train station and has a little bit of a crush on her. So when she walks into the flower shop one day, like near the early stages of when Myra's trying to figure out like how is she supposed to run this business, she runs into Aaliyah. And luckily for her, Aaliyah is very resourceful. She's worked with plants all of her life. She was a part of her school's botany club. Like, she's very, very helpful and very sweet. I feel she kind of keeps to herself, as you can kind of see. Well, eventually we'll see. She has a very boho vibe to her, which I personally love. I am obsessed with Aaliyah a tad. Even though I don't have a lot of art of her, I really adore her. And her and Claude actually kind of know each other. Claude is a lot older, but they're actually, well, not a lot older. He's around like 24, I want to say. So not like a grown-ass man, but they're actually neighbors. And they have a very sweet, friendly relationship. And Myra is a little jealous of Claude at times, but overall, I feel like Aaliyah is currently, she doesn't have a lot to do in the story. She just works there. And there's just one comic I made a while ago, and I say comic very loosely. It's just a little tiny panel of her and Claude interacting, and I adore it. I feel like they would be great friends, and without spoiling too much, she kind of is helpful in ways that neither Myra nor Claude. And another character I have not introduced yet, but she will be getting a repurposing, maybe not a full redesign, along with Claude, potentially in the next video. Those are my plans. But a few things about Aaliyah that I want to mention, because I really don't have a lot to say about her yet. She, as I mentioned before, she was in the botany club in high school. She's very sweet, a little, I wouldn't say naive, but she's kind of the person that sees the best in everyone and kind of doesn't know, like, when situations can be dangerous. But yeah, I adore her shoes, by the way. I absolutely adore them. Anyways, here is Aaliyah. I just love everything about her. And here they are. I am pretty proud of how both of these references turned out. In the next video, I plan on tackling Claude and the other character that I mentioned. If you're interested in that, feel free to stick around and subscribe. I'm sorry this video is kind of all over the place. I'm still getting used to writing scripts, but yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Ciao!